very windy, as you can tell, Hengistbury Head. Now this is on the Dorset coast. We've got Bournemouth that way, and we've got Christchurch Harbour just over there. Now this month for VRM, obviously I'm doing a beach scene, which is why I'm here on this lovely windswept day. I think it's worth mentioning that obviously beaches have long become a very popular destination, and it stemmed from doctors' orders in the 1700s. You see, doctors were very adamant that the sea, the salty fresh air, had some health benefits. And these health benefits were now firmly in the minds of the public. And thanks to the advent of railways, it gave an easy way for just about everyone to get to the seaside and enjoy the fresh air. Now, of course, a classic aspect of the seaside are the beach huts. Now, down behind me you can see Mudderford Spit, and it's probably no secret that they hold the title of the most expensive beach huts, certainly in the UK and probably in the world, to be quite honest. And of course, no one loves a beach hut more than the British public. I'm sure that many of you know that the beach hut started as bathing machines, and these were introduced by Victorian royalty as a way of allowing them some modesty when they get dressed to go into the sea. And I think it's fair to say that these bathing machines and now beach huts have certainly evolved over the years, especially the ones at Mudderford. Now, they might not have running water or even toilets, but they are kitted out with some pretty impressive interiors. Now, I don't know if you know this, but there are 20,000 beach huts in the UK, and Bournemouth, just over there, has 1,900 of them. And you could argue that Bournemouth was one of the first places to actually have beach huts, and certainly in 1909 the very first council-owned beach hut was opened in Bournemouth right next to the pier. And although it's had a bit of a facelift in recent years, it's still there to this day and is commemorated with a blue plaque. And so popular are these beach huts at Bournemouth that there is actually a 5-year waiting list. So beach huts may have come a long way, but they're certainly something that the British public absolutely adore. And to be honest, I think rightfully so. So unfortunately, by the time I got to Mudderford Spit, having enjoyed the views all the way along, it basically became night time. So I'm going to do the rest of the video here in the studio. And I thought I'd talk a little bit more about beaches, because there are some quite important things that you need to be wary of if you're going to model them. Now, something to bear in mind about beaches is that they will change shape during the summer and during the winter. So for example, in the winter, there will be a lot more destructive waves, and those will plunge onto the beach directly and sort of scour out an area of the beach. And then the backwash will slowly drag some of that sediment and create an offshore sandbar. And then when it comes to the summer months, waves will come along, destroy the sandbar and push all that sediment back up the beach. The shape of the beach will also depend on the strength and the power of the waves, and that in turn is sort of dependent on a number of factors, but predominantly the wind. Specifically how far the wind has come, or the fetch. We've also got the strength of the wind, and how long the wind blows for. Now, if you join all those components together and you have a large fetch, you have a strong wind, and you have a wind that is very strong for a long period of time, then you're going to have more destructive waves that will cause erosion on the beach. Elsewhere, you also see some berms, particularly on summer beaches, and that sort of marks the maximum point at which the incoming tide comes to. And you may be able to tell that on the model, the sand in front of the sort of berm here is a lot darker in colour compared to the drier sand at the top of the beach. Something clear to see on the model is the effect that the groin has had on the beach. So updrift, where we've got the longshore drift caused by the prevailing wind coming in from this direction, we've got a build-up of sand against the face of the groin. But on the other side, it's basically starved of sediment, particularly for the first few hundred metres, so we've got this large drop in the level of the beach there. Now, another thing to look out for is the wave refraction, particularly if you're modelling a long section of coast and you have a headland, because waves will always hit the headland first, because obviously we're jutting out into the sea. And what that often means is that the headland will take the brunt of the force of the waves. As you go round to the other side of the headland towards the bay, the gradient will start to decrease and you'll have the waves sort of losing their energy and depositing all their material. So when you're modelling a beach, you should always look out for one thing and one thing in particular, and that is of course the prevailing wind direction, because that will give you an idea of how the shape of the beach will change. But even then you do have to be careful, because in some places you'll have prevailing winds from two directions, which will alter the shape of the beach, particularly when you have sets of groins. But anyway, enough about beaches, let's talk about the model very briefly to finish up. Obviously we've got the beach huts as sort of one of the stars of the show, and these ones are a little bit more complex to put together than you would perhaps normally imagine for something like this, but there are easier methods. And of course you can make your life a lot easier. Rather than try and make all the individual bits of cladding, you can sort of scribe some thicker plasticard and make it look more like shiplap cladding. And why I think a beach is such a great thing to model is that there are ample opportunities for some really interesting scenes. So for example, back at Bournemouth they have funicular railways, so you can have a nice cliffside railway to make a really unique feature on your model railway. You can also obviously add things like Punch and Judy, or promenade shelters, or lifeguard huts, or even lifeboat stations. So beach scenes offer a huge variety of things that you can model, and some quite unique things at that. Anyway, that's enough for this video. I think I've left you with a few things to think about, and a few things you can try out. And of course, if you have any questions or comments about this or any other diorama, you can always contact me on RLWeb. My username is Southern Region Steam, or you can find me on Twitter at Studio Jamming. Until next time, happy modelling.